All right, welcome back to Getting Sober, again. My name is Jay, and today we're gonna talk about how to get sober on your own in just 30 days or less. But first, if you haven't yet, don't forget to show your support for everybody in this sobriety community by giving this video a thumbs up. And if you wanna get sober, be sober, and stay sober, then make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. All right, let's get started. So today I'm gonna neatly organize today's video into 15 strategies that I personally use that helped me to get sober and to stay sober. That way, if you want to skip around the video or come back to it again in the future, you could just follow the numbers for each chapter on the bottom of the screen. Now, before we get started, it's important to remind you that you might just temporarily be a problem drinker. And here in this community, you don't have to repeat every day that I'm an alcoholic. You are a multifaceted, complex, and diverse human being who maybe just had some sort of recent tragedy in their life. Maybe you just lacked better coping mechanisms from, say, lingering childhood traumas. Or maybe you just lost a job or a relationship, or maybe somebody just passed away. For a lot of us, myself included, we just drank because we were bored. We wanted to feel better, to pass the time, and to socialize. Basically, we just wanted to escape from life for a little while until we at least had a better plan figured out for ourselves, right? So that's exactly what we're gonna do with today's video to help give you better tools on how to get sober on your own and to empower yourself to be the best version of you that you deserve to be. So my advice to those of you who aren't sober yet is to just enjoy this new process of self-discovery. You don't have to get married to sobriety and you don't have to sign a prenup, but all of us know that it can only benefit our minds and our bodies to stop poisoning ourselves on a daily basis. So the first thing that I did to get sober on my own was, just like you're doing right now, I watched YouTube videos. Except for this video, and this community didn't exist yet, so consider yourself lucky. Before I had a conversation with friends or family, before I admitted to my doctor or my therapist how much I was really drinking, I went to good old YouTube University. I wanted to know, just like you, that I wasn't alone. I wanted to hear other people's opinions and read other people's comments about what they were going through. But it took a lot of time, 5 years to be exact, to really find out all the secrets that work for other people. And that's why this video is so special, because this is a culmination of all my knowledge to help speed you along and hit the ground of sobriety running. Sound good? So if you're new to this community, welcome. We have over 600 videos for you to binge watch on the topic of sobriety and self-improvement. So make sure you watch one of our videos every morning to stay motivated, and after you're done, don't forget to leave a comment. I take the time to personally respond to everybody's comments, and if you don't believe me, just comment below and find out. The second thing I did to get sober on my own was I told my closest friends and family about my decision to get sober. When you're still in the YouTube phase of just watching sobriety videos, you're still kind of in the closet, so to speak, with regard to your sobriety. The cat isn't out of the bag yet. You're not sure if you can get sober or really how to do it, but you know that you want to do it eventually. Naturally, you have a lot of questions and probably hesitations and reservations, and you might also worry that life isn't going to be the same ever again. But let me remind you of this fact. There's only 3 things that you can't do sober. 1, drink alcohol. 2, have a hangover. And 3, get a DUI. Over the years, as we remember, a lot of our wildest times happen to be on booze. But we also conveniently forgot every day at 5 o'clock that a lot of our worst times also happen to be on booze. Nobody wants to be judged, and as we always like to remind you, this community is proudly no judgment sobriety. I know it seems scary at first to think about telling our friends and family members that maybe we have a drinking problem, but chances are they're well aware that we have a drinking problem. So don't be surprised by the positive reactions that you're gonna get when you tell the people that care about you most that you're choosing to make a better decision to cut back on your drinking. Because it's highly likely that they never thought you'd get sober, just like you never thought you'd get sober. The third thing I did to get sober on my own was I learned about the benefits of sobriety. I was finding out that people were saving a lot of money, that people were lowering their blood pressure, losing weight, clearing up their skin, gaining energy, motivation, and confidence. People became less anxious, less depressed, and also too, less stressed out on a daily basis. Some people were even reporting being able to cut down on the medications they're taking, and for some people, being able to come off all of their medications entirely. From improved digestion issues, less brain fog, having better relationships with friends, family, and coworkers, a reduced risk of diseases, including cancer, the benefits were overwhelming. And then I thought to myself, well, if these kind of benefits came in a pill, everybody would be on it. So why not me? If all I had to do was to not take something and that something was alcohol, it seemed like a no-brainer, right? The fourth thing I did to get sober on my own was I learned what alcohol is doing to my body. From the aches, the pains, the headaches, the inflammation, the mood swings, the irritability, the poor quality of sleep, the fact that alcohol ages your brain. Again, it was overwhelming. We actually made a comprehensive list on 10 surprising things that alcohol does to your body. So if you want to watch that video, I'll put a link in the video description in the homework section. But just make sure you finish watching this video first. The fifth thing I did to get sober on my own was I prepared for sobriety. For me, this meant talking to my friends and family, like we mentioned earlier. It meant getting rid of all the alcohol in my house. It meant changing my routine and learning how to slowly embrace these new routines. Just like it's important to taper off of alcohol slowly, it's important to taper onto new healthy habits slowly. That's why so many people fail during New Year's resolutions, because it's too much, too fast, and too soon. People don't prepare for sobriety as much as they just wing it. Preparing for sobriety also meant cutting back on who I hung out with that also still drank. I thought of sobriety like a new child. I wanted to welcome this new fledgling sobriety into my home and into my life. This meant doing a little redecorating my life, reducing the chaos, and making some sacrifices with my free time. It also meant changing other bad habits that led me to wanting to drink in the first place. Preparation also meant learning how to be more proactive instead of reactive, making a list of what the enemies were to my sobriety: the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. It meant knowing what my why was in the first place. For me, my why was not wanting to get liver cancer or pancreatic cancer, not wanting to die while drunk driving, not wanting to have my mom bury her only child, not wanting to keep being a victim of my own circumstances, wanting to be less anxious, less irritable, less depressed, to get off antidepressants, which I did right after I got sober. I knew that if I was going to take this journey seriously, just like anything in life that's worth doing, I was going to have to put in the effort. And that meant to prepare myself for this sobriety journey. The sixth thing I did to get sober on my own was I went to my doctor before getting sober, like the week before. Think about it like this. Your body is a vehicle just like your car, and they both need regular maintenance. And it's most likely that your body, just like your car, probably needs a tune-up. Nobody wants to go to the doctor just to find out that we got some self-induced sludge in our engine. But while we're practicing sobriety, we're also practicing transparency, along with vulnerability. And what that basically means is making more better decisions today and less worse decisions tomorrow. Talking to your doctor before getting sober makes sobriety even more worth it, because not only do you get safety advice from your doctor, but you can also get a record of your vitals, your blood pressure, your blood lab results, and see if anything's out of whack before getting sober. And then seeing how much that you've improved by visiting your doctor again, maybe 30 or 60 days later after getting sober. So that's what I did. I went to my doctor before getting sober, and then just 30 days after getting sober, I found out that my blood pressure went down from 160/90 down to 120/70. And by the way, don't forget to take those before and after pictures, because it's most likely that you're going to get a lot of positive compliments. The seventh thing that I did to get sober on my own was I signed up for therapy while sober. Chances are that you're probably dealing with some complicated emotions, which is one of the main reasons why you drink in the first place, right? Now, I was previously in therapy when I was drinking heavily. I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me all the time. I would go to therapy every week and tell my therapist that I was doing everything right, but I wasn't telling her how much I was really drinking. And so then I reluctantly opted to let myself be put onto antidepressants. After going on antidepressants, I convinced myself that therapy wasn't working because I wasn't fixed. And then I stopped going to therapy altogether, but kept drinking and taking antidepressants. But then when I chose to be sober and then try therapy, I noticed that I didn't have nearly as much anxiety and depression. Drinking while you're still going to therapy is kind of like saying that you want to set sail on a big, beautiful ship, but then drilling holes in the bottom of the boat before leaving the dock. It's creating more problems that leave you stuck exactly where you're at without making any progress. So if you haven't considered therapy yet, don't let another decade go by being angry and frustrated with the hand that you were dealt in life. The eighth thing that I did to get sober on my own was I decided on a date to get sober. And I know that this can be a touchy subject, especially for those of us who probably have 10 or more sobriety dates. That's because at some point we lost faith in ourselves. For a lot of people, sobriety might be a birthday present to themselves. And speaking of presents, personally, I think that the best time to get sober is right before the holidays. And before you comment down below and say, but the holidays are going to be so hard. I know, I've read over 15,000 comments, I get it. Everyone says the same thing. But think about this. There's going to be many milestones on your sobriety journey, and we all have to mark them off the checklist. There's going to have to be a first weekend sober. That's hard, right? A first full week sober, also hard. A first margarita Monday, a whiskey Wednesday, a first Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, St. Patty's, 4th of July, etc. We all have to do it. Anything that we don't have practice with yet is hard. But then what happens? It gets easier, right? When you know that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you know that something needs to change. So set a date and work towards slowly tapering off alcohol, which we're gonna mention in the next point. But before that, if you're learning something, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. The 9th thing I did to get sober on my own was I tapered off alcohol slowly. And why slowly? Well, for one, if you're drinking upwards of a half a bottle of liquor every night, or say 2 to 3 bottles of wine a night, or maybe a dozen or more beers a day, you definitely do not want to quit cold turkey. You could end up suffering severe withdrawal effects called delirium tremens, which is basically a terrible combination of feeling sick with headaches, nausea, vomiting, sweats, fever, hallucinations, and even seizures. Personally, I use what we like to call the 10 in 10 method. So as we mentioned in the last example, you'll need to set a date to get sober, maybe 10 days from now. So the 10 in 10 method, simply put, we set a date for sobriety, say 10 days from tomorrow. And let's say you drink on average about 10 units of alcohol per day like I did. So today you would have your normal amount of alcohol. And tomorrow, which is day 1, you would have 1 less unit of alcohol. And the second day you would have 2 less units of alcohol. And then the third day, have 3 less units of alcohol, and so on, until 10 days later, that's why it's called the 10 in 10 method, you're finally free from your alcohol addiction. And speaking of 10, the 10th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I started new healthy habits. We always like to say, give sobriety a new healthy buddy. Kind of like adopting a new puppy. Give it some toys to play with, you know what I mean? A few videos back, we talked about 5 healthy habits to start after getting sober. I'll put a link to that video also in the homework section of today's video description. I won't spoil the whole video for you, but the main thing that most people find great benefit from is exercise. Sobriety is part of a much larger self-improvement journey. We all get behind on life, our finances, our relationships, and also too our health while we're daily binge drinking. Not only will quitting alcohol increase longevity, but also too, exercise will further increase your longevity. Also, another great idea to pair healthy habits with sobriety is to get back into your old hobbies that you gave up on, or maybe watch some YouTube videos and find a new hobby. Maybe you always wanted to learn how to propagate plants or grow an indoor garden. It's a fact that you're going to be saving a lot of money by not drinking. You could spend that money on therapy, a gym membership, or maybe a personal trainer at that gym. How about some new toys or gadgets, or get caught up on all your late bills? Or maybe too, you could save up for a new security deposit for a new apartment to get out of that old neighborhood that maybe reminds you of all the things that you don't want to be anymore. Maybe a new car, maybe some new tools or appliances. Or how about all those home improvements that you've been putting off? The house could be a little cleaner and all aspects of our life could use a little TLC, am I right? So start some new healthy habits to go along with your new sobriety. The 11th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I stayed away from bad influences. Now I have to admit that sometimes I was a bad influence. Earlier we talked about eliminating distractions, the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. And you might say, well, I love my friends. I don't want to stay away from them forever. And you don't have to. But staying away from them for now is a great strategy for staying on the right path. Think of it like this. If you love skiing, but you broke your leg skiing, your doctor might say, stay off that leg and stay off the slopes for a few months. You're gonna need surgery, you're gonna need a cast, and you're gonna need some physical rehab. And then you say to the doctor, but doctor, I love skiing. I don't wanna stay away from skiing forever. And then the doctor says, well, you can go skiing again when you're strong enough and healthy enough to stand up on your own 2 feet and strong enough to steer away from those trees next time. Right now, your job is to heal, to grow, to learn when you zigged when you should have zagged. All those friends and bad influences aren't going anywhere. But chances are when you take the time to get sober, to heal, to grow, and to mature, to handle the problems that your past self created, you might just start to enjoy your own company for a little while. And also too, you might be a little bit more selective of the company that you keep. One of the goals in sobriety is to become the person that you actually want to hang out with, instead of always being a person that you always have to numb the pain of being on a daily basis. The 12th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I kept track of my cravings. It doesn't matter how strong your willpower is, alcohol cravings are coming. But what we do when those cravings come will help us to have the success that we're looking for. Sobriety is all about self-improvement and self-discovery. First and foremost, you wouldn't be interested in getting sober if you weren't interested in becoming a better version of yourself, right? We all know what it feels like to plateau mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. Or maybe how about creatively or intellectually or romantically? So simply put, keeping track of our cravings in early sobriety is just another fact-finding mission. We developed the 100 No Challenge. The idea is to download any counting app on your phone where you can actually click the screen and the total goes up by 1 point. Every time you get a craving, say no. Then you open up the app, count it, or capture it. After you've captured and counted 100 cravings by saying no, most people report that it took about 1 to 2 weeks until they successfully said no to alcohol 100 times. So that way, this activity gives you something to do and something to look forward to instead of just white knuckling it through sobriety. And also too, you get to observe how the cravings become less and less each day. So let's say on the first day you have about 15 cravings lasting about 10 minutes each craving. By day 5, you may only have 5 cravings lasting 5 minutes each. By day 10, you might have little to no cravings at all. It's a great way to hack your own brain while alcohol cravings are also trying to do the same exact thing. All right, we only have a few more to go. The 13th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I downloaded an app to keep track of my sobriety. Now, this is different than the counting app that we just talked about. The app that I use is free and has actually a link in the video description. It's called Quitzilla. Quitzilla lets you log what you're trying to quit, like alcohol. You can also use it for quitting anything else like cigarettes, weed, pills, online shopping, social media, or whatever. And it also lets you keep track of how long you've been sober, and also too, if the habit that you want to quit costs you money, it'll calculate how much money that you're saving. So that way you're keeping track of 2 positive metrics, time and money. Pretty cool, right? And you can also backlog your information retroactively. So let's say you already got sober 12 days ago. You could download the app now and say I quit drinking 12 days ago, and on average I was spending about $20 a day on alcohol. The app will show you that you've currently saved $240, and the app will then log that you are now 12 days sober. Another thing that's cool is it'll congratulate you on your future milestones with a notification on your phone saying something like, congratulations, you made it 24 hours or 72 hours or 1 week or 1 month, etc. Again, the app is called Quitzilla. It's free and there's a link in the video description. And before we get to the last 2 things that I did to get sober on my own, stick around because I have a few honorable mentions that I want to add to the list that also might help you out, as well as another great video suggestion to a video that we put out a few weeks ago to help improve your mental health. The 14th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I changed the way that I spoke about sobriety. So what does that mean? Well, listen to these examples. Which one sounds more empowering? I'm gonna try to get sober. I am gonna get sober. I hope I can get sober this time. I will stay sober this time. So what other areas in your life are you 1 foot in and 1 foot out? What about your job, your relationships, your health, your spirituality? Tell me if this sounds familiar. I'm gonna try to go to the gym after work, but it's probably gonna be a long day and I'm probably gonna be tired, so we'll see how I feel. Stop building in the excuse and stop giving yourself an easy way out. You've been there, you've done that. And the results are gonna be the same every single time. They say that the definition of insanity is to continue repeating the same actions, but expecting different results. It's no wonder why you feel like you're in a rut if you're enabling yourself to stay stuck. Say I am going to the gym after work. I'll put in at least 20 minutes of exercise. And if I have more energy, I'll stay for longer. It's all about nudging yourself in a more positive direction, even when we know that our tendencies may lead us to predictably want to embrace failure. So in other words, stop being predictable. And lastly, the 15th thing that I did to get sober on my own was I remained persistent. Consistency is the key to success in anything that we want to do. Repeat after me. I know temptations are coming, but I will persist. I know that distractions are coming, but I will stay focused. I know that cravings are coming, but I'm going to observe them and get a better understanding of how I conditioned myself at certain times of the day to want alcohol. Think about it like this. If we normally eat 3 times a day, we typically get hungry 3 times a day. And if we're typically drinking from say 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., we're gonna have strong cravings to drink between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. We form those neural pathways in our minds, and we condition those pleasure-seeking reward centers in our brains, kind of like the hour before you clock out of work. Or maybe as soon as you actually clock out of work, you're having cravings. What about when you're driving home from work? Probably getting cravings too, right? How about the first time that you open a refrigerator when you get home? The associations are there, but every time that we persist in not indulging those cravings, we get another notch on our belt of sobriety. And then we exercise that teeny tiny muscle of discipline. Because let's face it, not only did our physical health get out of shape with daily binge drinking, so too did our mental health, our discipline, our attention spans, and our willpower. I don't know about you, but my daily binge drinking robbed me of energy and my ambition. Either we're evolving or we're intelligently designed. But no matter what your belief is, it's our job to evolve and to intelligently design the structure of our days moving forward, to prove to our future self that our current self is on the same team with your future self. Now, don't forget, we have a few honorable mentions coming up, but first I want to recap the first 15 strategies that we talked about, especially for those of you that might want to write it down. So here's your final chance to write them down or maybe take a screenshot with your phone. Strategy number 1 is to watch our YouTube videos every morning to stay motivated. And don't forget to leave a comment after you're done. Strategy number 2 is to talk to your friends and family. Strategy number 3 is to learn about the benefits of sobriety. Strategy number 4 is to learn what alcohol does to your body. Again, we have a video on this topic in the video description. The 5th strategy is to prepare for sobriety. The 6th strategy is to visit your doctor before getting sober. And then again, maybe 1 to 2 months again after getting sober. The 7th strategy is to sign up for therapy. The 8th strategy is to decide on a date to get sober. The 9th strategy is to taper alpha alcohol slowly. The 10th strategy is to start new healthy habits. The 11th strategy is to stay away from bad influences. Number 12 is keep track of your alcohol cravings with the 100 No Challenge. Number 13 is download the Quitzilla app to keep track of your daily progress. Number 14 is change the way that you speak about sobriety. Use positive affirmations only. And number 15 is remain persistent. All right, as we promised, we have a few honorable mentions to add to the list that really helps me out personally that you might want to try also along the way. Honorable mention number 1 is daily prayer and being more in tune with my spirituality. Before getting sober, I found myself laying on my couch one drunken night at 5 o'clock in the morning. I still hadn't gone to bed and my heart was steadily beating at about 160 beats a minute for like 2 hours. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I went so far as to pre-dial 911 in case anything happened, and at that moment, at my weakest, most embarrassed and ashamed, I asked God to take this addiction away from me. A week later, I had no desire to drink, I got sober, and I came back to this channel to make more videos for you. And it's safe to say that I haven't looked back. Honorable mention number 2 is I embraced being myself. At some point, I stopped believing that I could be silly or goofy or experience all the positive feelings that I wanted to feel just because I thought that I could only feel that way when I was buzzed. It was getting really expensive to be myself. So I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I decided that I wanted to be me for free. Honorable mention number 3 is I worked on eliminating people-pleasing behaviors. For me personally, this meant setting personal boundaries. And if you want to see the video that we made specifically about the topic about how to set personal boundaries, then click on the link in the top corner of the screen. Honorable mention number 4 is practicing self-care. Self-care is basically the opposite of people-pleasing and focusing on just doing what's best for you. It doesn't mean to be a self-centered and a selfish person, but it does mean to learn how to value yourself and treat yourself the way that you deserve to be treated. When we stop looking externally for joy in other people, places, and substances, we start understanding that there's nothing for us in the bottom of a bottle and that everything that we need is already inside of us. It's our job to turn those thoughts and those dreams into our daily reality. Honorable mention number 5 actually goes along with the last tip of practicing self-care, and that's stick to your routines. When I wake up every morning, instead of doom scrolling through my social media, I open my phone and make a to-do list for my personal schedule for that day. It might say something simple like make the bed or drink some water, make breakfast, shave, go to the gym, whatever it is. Basically what you're doing is you're priming your mind. You're envisioning the future for that day. Just like a writer for a movie, you are writing the script for your day. What it does is it eliminates you from just winging your day, and it eliminates you from getting caught off guard and adding any more unnecessary stress to your day. It means to have a plan and to be prepared. And also too, it stops letting how you feel dictate what's gonna happen next. On top of that, it keeps you from being subjected to giving into those compulsive behaviors that got you into all this trouble in the first place. Got it? Good. Now, before we close out this very important video, don't forget to save this video in your sobriety playlist. Just hit that little save plus button that's underneath this video. And I want to remind you that you can also go to AA meetings or rehab or try all of the 20 strategies that we listed in today's video. But it's 100% a fact that none of these methods will work unless you actually put in the effort. Every journey starts with a single step in the right direction. And just like going to college, you can't just sign up for the classes and then just be handed your degree 4 years later. You have to show up, study, get tested, and pass the exams as they come. And remember, it's okay if you don't pass every sobriety stress test. Just make your goal to do your best and to learn from those mistakes that led you in the wrong direction in the first place. You're welcome back here anytime without shame or guilt. And the best part is you don't even have to show your face, but leaving a comment would be nice. So let me ask you a question. Are you feeling inspired yet? If so, comment down below and tell us what you thought of today's video. And also too, tell us what from the list is gonna help you moving forward on your own sobriety journey. For those of you that are sober, let us know what's worked for you so far on your own sobriety journey, because people come to our videos not just for the videos, but also too for the comments. So let your comment be your time to shine. And if you're ready to watch another great episode, remember I have videos listed for you under the homework section in the video description right underneath this video. Or you could just click the link on the top corner of the screen. And with that, I want to wish you good luck on your self-improvement journey, and I will see you in the next video.
If you want to see another one of our videos, click here.